everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Sarah Ray, president of the Chamber of Commerce, the Douglas County Chamber, and just want to welcome everybody to our second episode of Douglas County Chamber Connect, where we ask some questions to people in the community about important topics or businesses that are innovative. Tonight, we're coming to you tonight, which is weird because we're usually Mondays at 3, but we have a special group of gentlemen that we're going to talk about some important information that is coming up on the primary elections later. I guess it's next month. It's not June yet. And just want to give you guys some important information. Mr. North, our superintendent of Douglas County Schools, is here tonight. And then we also have Jeff Knowles, who is the chair, one of the chairs for the Douglas County, I always say it wrong, Douglas County Citizens for Excellence in Education. So that's an advocacy group that is supporting the passage of the eSPOS. So, hey guys, how are y'all?
Doing well. How are you, Miss Sarah?
Doing great. Enjoying that it's sunny out and that it's almost the weekend. So, well, I know we're going to get into some questions about, the serious part of all of this, which is very important and why everybody's going to be joining us tonight. But before we do that, I just want to give you guys a chance to introduce yourselves. And then I thought it'd be fun. I know you guys aren't excited because you don't know what the question is. But I thought it'd be fun to let people in on a little bit more of a personal side of you. So when you guys introduce yourselves, just real quickly, I want you to also tell everybody who your favorite teacher was in school and why. So that's not too scary. I scared y'all a lot worse than that. So while you guys are thinking of your answer, I'll give you a second. I'll go with mine. So my favorite teacher, I went to school in Douglas County, elementary, middle, and high school. And my favorite teacher, I had a lot, but my probably absolute favorite teacher was my 5th grade teacher, Miss Penn. And she was just fun. Like, she made class interesting. And she would do this thing where she would go out of the classroom and come in as different personalities of different historical characters to make it fun and interesting. She she'll probably get in trouble for this. Well, she's retired and everything, but she used to stand on desks and jump around and make us do crazy things. So she just made learning really fun. So she was my favorite. So Trent, why don't you go?
Hi, I am Trent North, superintendent of Douglas County School System, embarking upon completing my 3rd year as superintendent. My favorite teacher actually was in college, Dr. Don Wagner, political science department. And I remember taking medieval political thought, and there was only 10 students in the class. I don't guess people really thought medieval political thought would be an interesting topic, but it was. And what I learned from him was the importance of knowledge. And it wasn't about necessarily the grade or completing the course. It was about continuing to grow and understanding the content. And so Dr. Wagner was my favorite teacher, and I haven't stopped learning since I had his class, valuing the importance of learning.
Very cool. All right, Jeff, you're up.
Yeah. So you gave me a bit of an intro already. Jeff Knowles, I'm director of key accounts at Greystone Power, also the co-chair of the citizen group for advocacy for the eSPOS coming up, eSPOS 6. I can't pick just one teacher.
You have to.
No, I'm not going to pick one. I'm going to give you two, at least two. I will say my 3rd grade science teacher, Miss Turner, was probably one of my favorite teachers. She was an amazing teacher. Also, my 8th grade math teacher, Rosamond Tidwell, who I still see from time to time in and around Douglas County. She challenged me. She pushed me to the level that I didn't know I could achieve in math, and it was a great experience. And she still kids me all the time that I did not pass algebra in 8th grade and that I need to come back.
You didn't pass it for real?
I did. I passed.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, okay. So I guess Jeff and I also play other roles than kind of our professional roles. I know I have a son that goes to Beulah Elementary, and again, am a product of the school system. And then Jeff, you also.
Yes, I have a son at Holly Springs Elementary and a daughter at Alexander High School, and a wife who teaches at Chapel Hill Middle.
Perfect. So, great. Well, now that we've kind of, gotten to know each other a little more. Why don't we go ahead and start in on the important information that everybody needs to know? Again, just so everybody's aware, the chamber has a legislative agenda that approves supporting this initiative. So we are strongly, and then also the Citizens for Excellence in Education are strongly supporting a Vote Yes campaign. Mr. North is here solely for informational purposes tonight. So he has some great information on what a SPLOST is and also some of the projects that are being proposed to be in there. So with that being said, Mr. North, why don't you go ahead and talk to us about, just so people know and understand, what an eSPLOST is and maybe how that's a little different than a regular SPLOST.
The eSPLOST is, the acronym is Education Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax. It's an opportunity for the citizens of Douglas County to vote to tax itself 1 cent. And so when you go to the mall, or if you're out having dinner, if this passes for 5 years, 1 additional cent will be added on to the eSPLOST. Now, when I say additional, I want to be clear. There's already a 1 cent sales tax in place. Every 5 years, it will expire. So you're going to have an opportunity to extend the current 1 cent sales tax. And what I love about the 1 cent sales tax is, whether you live in Douglas County, or you're passing through Douglas County, or you just want to come to the mall to shop or come and eat, or if you're coming to Douglas County for a football game or a basketball game, you have the opportunity to support the Douglas County school system.
Perfect. Great. Okay. Thank you. And I just know a lot of people get confused about SPLOST and, the difference between, what people normally see as a SPLOST. So that was perfect. All right.
Give you one more thing. That's a good point. There is when the county government has a 1 cent sales tax, they have to use all their funds for the Douglas County government or for the city of Douglasville. That's for paving roads. It's for purchasing sheriff cars. It's for building parks and recreation. They're not allowed technically to use their funds for the school system. When the school system passes one, the Education Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax is solely for the school system benefit. But great point. I didn't answer that one. Thank you, Miss Sarah.
You're good. You're good. And that was perfect. So, okay, Jeff, why don't you talk about maybe why our school system, why an eSPLOST is pretty essential to a school system, and also just kind of remind everybody this isn't the first eSPLOST that we've had. So you can talk a little bit about why we need it, and maybe kind of go a little bit deeper on the logistics behind it, if it's property tax, sales tax, that kind of thing.
Sure.
Or that's
sure.
Not.
So, thanks, Sarah. It's not a property tax. It's truly a consumption and use tax. It's that 1 cent on every dollar for every dollar that you spend in Douglas County. If you purchase a car in Douglas County, 1 cent. If you eat, if you shop, whatever you do at the mall, whatever you do at Target or whatever you, it's that 1 cent on top of the traditional sales tax. Like Trent said, it's ongoing right now, and it has been for the past however many years. It's been going on for more than 5 years for sure. So it's a consumption tax. If you don't want to pay it, don't buy anything in Douglas County. But there are so many people that come from outside of Douglas County to shop in Douglas County that it would be negligent not to take advantage of some of that as those dollars were coming into the community. What does a school system do with an eSPLOST? The school system does, and we'll go into the projects here in just a few minutes, but it does everything that maintenance and operation won't cover. So you think about the budget, M&O, maintenance and operation. It takes care of the things you've already got. It doesn't do a whole lot for planning for the future. It doesn't do a whole lot for supplementing the education for kids. It does just what it says it does. It keeps things running, kind of a status quo. If you don't spend money, it won't cost you a dime. But if you spend money, it's going to be 1 cent on every dollar. So, it's 1 penny goes a long way to help the kids of Douglas County. And if we don't get an East Blast, I doubt we're going to go down the road of not funding education fully in the community. So you've got to look elsewhere. The only other place that the Board of Education can get revenue from is from property tax. So that discussion will have to happen if this were not to be successful.
Got it. Cool. Did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
No, I thought I did a great job. And when he talks about the property taxes, and it's not like there is this threat because the Douglas County community, we borrowed approximately 150 million in bonds over 10 years ago. We're in the process of paying that off, and we've pledged the East Blast as a means for paying that off. And so we're excited, and I want to talk about a little bit more later, that if the citizens of Douglas County approves the East Blast 6, at the end of that, the Douglas County school system will be debt free.
Awesome. Perfect. That was great. And again, I just know people get really confused about what kind of tax it is, and they're increasing my property taxes, but that's not all what an East Blast does. And I love that you both communicated out that whether it passes or not, you still have the option of supporting it in shopping here, which is wonderful. And the chamber always supports shopping local, so it's very easy to do, and you win when you're doing it, because you're usually, like you said, buying groceries, buying food from restaurants, buying gas, buying clothes. So that's great. Okay, Trent, what about can you talk a little bit about, since we're kind of talking dollars, how much would East Blast 6 generate for the school system? Like
projections.
Mm-hmm.
And this was, if everything came in perfectly, approximately $184 million.
Over 5 years?
Over 5 years.
Got it.
And Sarah, if I think about my household, or if the average person thinks about $184 million, and I've had parents come and say, Mr. North, that's a lot of money. And they're right. And so if the taxpayers approve it, the community would benefit. But for the Douglas County school system, when you have 3,200 employees, when you have over 40 buildings, if an air conditioning unit goes down in a system at a school, for instance, to replace the air conditioning system at Douglas County High School would cost in excess of $5 million. Eating away at $184 million doesn't take a long time.
Yeah, that's definitely, you couldn't see my face, but I just did this when you said how much it costs to replace the heating and air unit. That's so crazy. Well, okay, perfect. All right, Jeff, one more question, then we'll get into kind of the meat of this, which everybody's always interested in, is what projects this will support. But for those people, obviously I have a vested interest, Jeff does, because we have kids that are in the schools right now. But what about, if people don't have children in this school system, how can that benefit them? And I know that's kind of multi-level answer, but can you talk about, Jeff, a little bit about how it benefits everybody by supporting this?
Sure. And we could talk about this for the rest of the night. Sarah, I know you and I have both traveled all over the country looking at places that are Douglas County aspires to be. What can we do to be better? Economic development starts with education. We talk a lot about to other communities about what is it that got them where they are. And first and foremost, one of the overwhelming sentiments is a focus on education. Spend as much money on education as you can, and the rising tide will lift all ships, guaranteed. The kids will come out of school, they'll be brighter, more accomplished, more educated, with opportunities to provide a workforce for those corporate entities that we're out there trying to bring into Douglas County each and every day.
Perfect.
So hold on now.
Oh, I thought you were done. Sorry.
I said I could talk about this all night. So
go ahead.
as we continue to bring those companies into Douglas County, the tax base becomes greater. It becomes more diversified. We've got corporations now that are footing a very large majority of a tax base, and that actually helps the homeowners in due time. You'll start to see a reduction in some taxes in other areas, especially property taxes for homeowners, when you've got large corporations that are paying a majority of the taxes.
I just want to add one thing to that. You know, when he talks about you support education, you've got to support education. And this is, and I know people could say, well, you're the superintendent, you're supposed to say that, but not necessarily. You always protect education. And so whether it's the Douglas County school system, whether it's Brighton Charter School System, whether it's Harvester, our community is valued based upon the quality of the education that it offers its citizens. Your number one job producer when it comes to skills and training just happens to be the Douglas County school system. And so if you are a taxpayer and you want to maintain a certain quality of life, you want to ensure that your community continues to be competitive as it's made easier for people to be mobile, the first thing you do is you support the educational institutions that are within the boundaries of your community.
Perfect. I think of it kind of to Jeff's point of a ripple effect, right? Because if you have a strong education system in place, then it will entice people to move here and large corporations to locate their companies here, which then creates a higher tax base, a better quality of life, and so forth. So, perfect. Great answers. Maybe we'll come back and let Jeff elaborate even more on that afterwards. We could just talk about it all night long.
We could.
I know. Okay, let's get into what I think is the super fun and interesting stuff. Trent, why don't you talk to us a little bit about what the school system's plans are for utilizing these funds, like the proposed projects, high level, of course, and just kind of talk a little bit about that.
Well, the first thing we want to do is with East Lodge 5, our goal was to reduce the number of mobile classrooms we have on our campuses. And we've been able to reduce a large number, but we're hopeful that if the East Lodge 6 passes, we'll be able to continue reducing our mobile classroom footprint. So that's important to us. What that does, it allows us to expand classrooms. For instance, if you have a child or a neighbor or a grandchild that attends Alexander High School, you know there's construction that's occurring there. East Lodge 5 is paying for that. Alexander High School had the largest number of mobile classrooms in the district. Once the new classrooms are constructed, they should be by the beginning of the fall, they will no longer have any mobile classrooms. So one part of it is removing mobile classrooms and expanding and modernizing our current facilities. A second one, and I'm very excited about the possibility here, is to be able to build a graduation arena. That's important because right now we use the University of West Georgia. And while we are appreciative for the University of West Georgia allowing us to use that facility, we're depending upon their vacancy. And so you have Carroll County community that's using it. You have some from Coweta County that's using it. You have some from Harrison County. And so we don't want our instructional calendar to be set based upon when we have access to the University of West Georgia's Coliseum. Right now, that's how it's scheduled. But I want to talk a little bit about safety. So when I drive to the University of West Georgia, which is for me, it's about 36 miles from the Chapel Hill community on I-20. And when I'm driving beside high school students, and there are 4 to 5 high school students in the car, while I know that they're responsible, I ask myself how excited I was when I graduated. And so as a superintendent or the board, we struggle with requiring our students to have to drive to the University of West Georgia. We're okay if you require that as a parent or a grandparent or a guardian, but if anything was to happen, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night knowing that we've endangered their lives. And so being able to build one here allows us to better control our instructional calendar, and it allows our kids to be safe. And some would ask, well, why don't you transport them on buses? We offer buses. But ask yourself, if you were a senior embarking upon graduation and possibly going off to college, military, finding a job, getting your own home, would you ride a school bus to your graduation? And the kids, they don't take us up on that. And so the second one is the graduation arena. The third one is technology. We announced last week that we were going to be one-to-one with technology for the first time in the Douglas County school system history. We could not do that without East Plus 5. Because of that, every student will have his or her, or the option to have his or her own personal device. It's going to keep down germs, bacteria from sharing it from one person to another. It's going to allow them to continue their classwork when they're at home. And so we set aside funds for each class. And then the fourth thing is for instructional materials, whether it's servers or whatever we need. Those are things that we used to have to pay for off of property taxes, and we struggle with it. But now, because of East Plus, we're able to keep our schools modern and offer our students the best quality education.
Perfect. Well, and I think even if you just think about the impact that the current East Blast has had in regards to COVID-19, if we didn't have those funds available, then you wouldn't be able to offer. I know you guys are offering for students to check out Chromebooks, right? Or when school was in, that is a case in point of a proven reason to support. I know that you can't say that, but I can, to support this initiative, because if we hadn't had that, or even the digital learning days and all of the platforms available to set that up and the infrastructure, what would have happened on March 13th? I mean, it's crazy to think of how fast we were able to adapt because we had the funds in place to support that infrastructure. So I don't know. That's wonderful. So, great. And I know there was something else I was going to add, and I've completely just drawn a blank on it. Okay, moving on to our next question. Jeff, I know we talked a little bit about this before, but if this isn't going to happen, I'm confident that the voters will agree that this is important. But if it didn't pass, what happens at that point, Jeff?
So my notes don't say that. My notes don't ask that question, Sarah. My notes ask what happens when it's approved, and I'll talk about both of them. If it's approved, East Plus 6 will begin when East Plus 5 expires. East Plus 5 expires on December 31st, 2021, and then it'll begin January 1, 2022. So it'll go unnoticed. You'll have the same tax rate. That 1 penny will stay on the taxes as you spend money throughout the county. If it doesn't pass, the Board of Education will have a very tough decision to make, and in looking very closely at the budget, at how they manage the budget, and the tax base. So there's a lot of unknown, but one thing that it is known is they'll need more money, and the only way to get that is to raise property taxes. Why wouldn't you invest in the future of your community? The future of your community being those children that are in our school system right now. I can't imagine a better return on investment than investing in the future, the true future of what a community is, from the ground up, and that's its labor force.
Sarah, I want to weigh in on that one just a little bit.
Absolutely.
There was a fourth prong in my new glasses that they're starting to work a little bit better for me. The fourth prong of the East Plus is the debt reduction, because when you ask what will it be used for or what will happen if it doesn't pass, if you recall earlier, I talked about how we borrowed $150 million to build New Manchester High School, to build Mason Creek Elementary School, to build Mirror Lakes Elementary School, to build Mason Creek Middle School to build factory shows, um, elementary school, and so we borrow to build those quickly to keep up with the growth in Douglas County. We are still repaying that debt. We owe approximately 84 million on bond debt. And so when I said earlier that if the taxpayers approve this, one of the things we all will be able to celebrate in Douglas County is being debt free. And that equates to approximately about 5 meals worth of property taxes. And so the SPLOST allows us to keep 5 meals off of the tax, off of the property tax, because those funds have already been committed and spent prior to me even becoming a superintendent in Douglas County.
Perfect. Well, and I think that that's all very important information. Again, kind of going back to the beginning of this conversation where, it's important to support it, but even if you don't support it, then you still have options, but how it's very critical in our community. And it's one of those, I forget the actual words of the paraphrase or the proverb, but it's like standing water doesn't do anything but evaporate. And that's not what we want to happen to our community. So thank you. Perfect. All right. So I know I had one question from the audience. I think it's probably for me or Jeff. But one of our local residents asked how they can help support this initiative. Like, how can they help support, and share the information about the eSplost?
Sure. So, I mean, talk to your friends and neighbors. Make sure everybody gets out and votes. That's probably one of the most important things, and it's certainly the right we have. Whether you're doing it through absentee ballot, whether you're going to the polls and voting. There was one thing that came up, and it was no one saw the word eSplost on a ballot. So I actually pulled the ballot up, and I wanted to look at it real quickly. And it actually says special election in Douglas County, renewal of 1% educational sales tax. So when you see that, there's a lot of words that go along with it. All the things that Superintendent North has went through and talked about the 187 million, what it'll be used for. All of those things are in the wording on the ballot. So those things are important to the school system of Douglas County and to the future of the education for Douglas County. And that's where you vote yes.
Perfect. Thank you. I know that also, if you want more information on what we've talked about tonight, you can visit the Douglas County School System. It's dcssga.org. Thank you. And then if you on the homepage, there's a whole tab about what we've talked about tonight about the eSplost. There's some great informational videos from one of the schools that's kind of received or can talk to the impact of the eSplost, the current eSplost on their school. There's some from students that have received, the benefits of the eSplost. So there's some great informational videos on the school system page that have some good content. Also, if you check our chamber page, we're going to be sharing some information as well as the school system page on kind of two different fronts. The chamber page is obviously a vote yes side. The school systems is informational, but feel free to share any of those posts or those information. Again, like Jeff said, share it with your neighbor, share it at church, just help us get the information out there to everyone. So, Jeff, voting information, or this way, I guess.
Yeah, whichever way. June 9th. I know a lot of people have requested absentee ballots and a lot of people have already voted, but the voting in person is June 9th for Douglas County, and that's the general election. So look for it on the ballot. Again, it's the renewal of 1% educational sales tax.
Perfect. And early voting is open now. So if you're interested in doing that, you can go ahead and do early voting. And then I know I believe the number I got was like 20,000 people in Douglas County requested absentee ballots. So you still have to be able to get those in. So make sure, and you can go to celebratedouglascounty.com and get more information on all of the poll locations, early voting times, and any information about that. So, all right, let's wrap it up and bring it home, gentlemen. Final comments, feedback, thoughts?
Vote yes for the future of education.
I just want to leave you with this. I can't tell you how to vote, but I still want to re-emphasize to everyone, any opportunity you have to be an ambassador for an educational institution within the Douglas County boundaries, you should do that. We all benefit from that.
Perfect. Well said. Well, that's it. We're 1 minute past our time, but that was good. I feel like we got a lot covered in 30 minutes. So just want to thank you guys both for joining us tonight. Again, we'll have this recording up later, probably today or tomorrow. Feel free to share this information and just stay tuned for our next episode. We'll be back on our normal Monday schedule at 3 o'clock, and our next one's a business innovator that has been kind of adapting to a new world regarding COVID-19, and that is Ellen McBrayer from Jones Wind Funeral Home. So we're going to talk to her on Monday at 3. So be sure to tune back in. And just want to thank you guys for taking a little bit of time out of your Thursday evening to join us, and appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All
Thank
right.
you.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Y'all have a great night. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.